How's it going, everyone? Time for some more Game of Thrones discussion with Brandon Jones and me, Damiani, and
possible guest star. Possible guest star.
Wow! Just like Game of Thrones, so many twists.
Third episode, I know. Possible twist. Who could it be?
Yeah, who could it be?
Just moments away. Hopefully, we'll get most of our opinions in.
They will be teleporting from a long distance.
We got this might have been the juiciest teleport, and that's the thing, is it wasn't necessarily like a jump in time, but it was a jump for sure. We are about to talk about Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 4.
What was the title of it?
The Last of the Starks.
That's what it's called?
It was what it was called, yeah.
Because Jones.
So spoilers, everyone. Spoilers.
Yes.
Spoilers. All Game of Thrones spoilers all over the place. Season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spoilers.
Yeah, and we're just talking up through the current episode.
Right.
Nothing beyond that.
Not teasing the next one.
I didn't even watch the teaser for the next one. Didn't even watch it.
I did. I always watch that.
Didn't even watch it this time.
Can't wait. I watched the stupid, producer talking about...
Oh, about them forgetting?
Dude, for anybody that doesn't watch those, it's basically that Chris Farley sketch of like, you remember when Jon told Arya and Sansa he was a Targaryen? That was awesome. You're like, yeah, I watched it. I just saw that show. I'm looking for some insight. I'm looking for some stuff that we maybe wouldn't know.
Yeah. So Brandon, I saw a lot of hate for this episode last night.
It's my least favorite of the season.
I saw a lot of hate for this episode.
Oh, that was a weird episode.
And I didn't completely hate it. I liked I like chaos in the show, but there were moments in this episode where I was just scratching my head about what really, that's how you're gonna, okay. And I want to start off with one of the big ones really quick. I want to jump right into this one, Jones, because It's been bugging me.
I think that's been our style with these reviews.
Yes.
With these,
I know, we'll get to talking about the beginning of it and stuff, but I want to jump into the big moment where Euron finally kills one of the dragons, because in my head, in the first few moments of that, my logic following it was way different than what the reveal was. So they're flying towards Storm's End, and and when the arrow flies, I'm like, oh shit. Cersei took it. Her armies are there.
Right.
They're waiting for her they're in the keep. I was like, oh shit, they would they abandoned King's Landing. Oh my gosh, they're going all out. And then they do the reveal of Around the Rock. There's just a little few ships there with the blue. I was like, wait, what? I was like, they're not coming from the keep. Wait, they didn't. I was like, oh, they didn't see them. I was like, what? I was like, okay. I mean, it was shock value, but at the same time, it was so frustrating that my mind jumped to something logical that was awesome. What a twist that would have been.
Yeah,
then to the reveal of that's really this magic. Euron's the freaking most OP character in Game of Thrones right now. He just does everything. He can teleport. He can kill anybody. Yeah. He's just you don't want to fight Euron. Euron will destroy you. He is the ruler. He's gonna win it all. At this point, I was just like, really? That's
I didn't like the shock value dragon death. That was it was a weird thing to try to surprise. Of all of the ways that they could have told that moment, of all the ways they could have captured that, they didn't, there's no funeral. They didn't even go back into the ocean or have a vigil above the spot where he hit the water. It was just well, that cleaned itself up. It was so weird, and it was weird having this moment of where'd those bolts come from? Oh, he took one in the neck. Oh, where'd that come from? I don't know. I guess he's dead now. And I was like, what the hell is happening? What? Because they showed a couple of her boats in the background. And I'm like, where'd that come from? How did they not? How was nobody looking at where the shot came from? How are we hanging on dragon death for such a long period of time before you see anybody like Davos or Tyrion or Grey Worm or Missandei or someone? Where did that shot come from? Yes, even if you look at the Zapruder film of the Kennedy assassination, they start pointing right away. They're I can clearly tell where that shot came from. They just hung on it for such a long period of time and just had this one dragon left. It's wait, come on. Give me at least... Yeah. They even had the next shot with the blood coming out of his mouth to just stamp, so you knew right away,
it's not coming back.
It's over.
Not coming back.
And that's the thing, is when you look back on it, Makes sense. You know, it's like they had a setup for this equipment. We saw Bronn shoot one of these things in the last season. Makes sense that Cersei's like all about tech. Like this was something that Qyburn was like obsessed with. So like when you see at the end, like they got all the guns like lined up along the wall. Like this is gonna be really hard for a dragon to swoop in and just take out King's Landing. That makes sense. Like it makes sense we were building toward that. But just like everything with him has all been trying to get Cersei in bed, so there's like not a lot of military talk like from the Lannister side of this war. So to have him like pop out from behind the rocks and take out a character that has been on this show for 6 seasons, like, is weird. That was such a strange, any sort of emotional impact hook that they were trying to go for, got ya, did not work at all. Like for me, like that was such a weird. And when you think about it too, that also hurt because she's like, I think she says I lost a kid or something, or that might have been the directors afterwards that like compared her to like losing a child. But like that was her kid if you think about it. Like the dragon that became evil was she named after her brother. And so the dragon's out. And the dragon that she's riding is Drogon?
Drogon's
Drogon. And so that's like the you know, if you want to look at just the base, you know, like symbology, whatever, like that's the name that she gave it. If you want to maybe look a little bit more into it, the way I like to think of it is that like that's kind of their 3 collective spirits kind of passing on. So like it's kind of fun to think, you know, Drogo's a character we had to say goodbye to very early on in the show, but like maybe he's still kicking around a little bit. Like maybe there's a little bit of him in this dragon, who knows? And so this idea of this being her child, like this was Rhaegal. This was, you know, Rhaego. Remember she eats the heart, Rhaego. You know, it's like this was what was going to be her child, to kind of just be like, oh no, massive HP dump, you know, gone.
Yeah, like you
critical strike. It was just such a weird throwaway moment.
You see,
same thing with Ghost.
Yeah,
a lot of companions just got the shaft in this episode.
I really don't get the Ghost thing. So like, I get it. It is what John's decision what to do with Ghost is for the best. Direwolves don't belong in the South. It will be happier in the North. In the North is now relatively safe, like the true North, like beyond the wall. Trying to bring a direwolf down where it's even warmer weather. It's not, and it's gonna be like more battles. Obviously, Ghost put in the work, fought alongside a lot, very injured. It's like very cruel to keep the direwolf continuing to fight like that. So I agree with that decision, Jones. But the send off was just like. Just looks at him. Is like,
well, yeah. The hilarious thing is like the Ghost send off was even more. The Ghost send off was done better than the Rhaegal send off.
At least there was some acknowledgement.
At least there was a moment, you know, and at least he kind of steps out like to see him go. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but I wonder if that's kind of like a Targaryen Stark thing, where he's like, he's a bastard. That was never my direwolf to begin with. You know what I mean? Like those were given to the Stark children. Like that was like him saying goodbye to Winterfell, him saying goodbye to, in a way, Sansa and Arya in that moment of like, look, I was never one of you to begin with. Like, you know, has Bran be the one to tell, you know, his sisters, quote unquote sisters. There was like a lot of talk of like, are you actually, who are you? Are you in this relationship or are you not? Are you a king or are you not? Are you a Stark or are you not? And so I was maybe thought that was kind of echoing that sentiment of him like, you know, because it was one thing for him to give him up, and some people are like, no, I'm gonna pet the dog, come on. And I think him kind of stepping away from that is like this decision that John has always kind of seemed to make of like, there's what I want to do, and I want to be in that cave with Ygritte right now, but we didn't have the luxury, you know, like I'd love to still be in these moments, but I keep having to move on, I keep having to go where it's uncomfortable, and so it was just like too tough for him almost. He's like, I can't get wrapped up in you, Ghost, sorry, I'm out.
Yeah, like, it came up, the moment actually came off a little bit like Ned Stark style. Ned Stark, you know, he did love his family, but he was like a northerner, and he treated things like with, like, you know, harsh reality.
Yeah.
Like even the original direwolf thing was like, I'm just gonna kill them, and then it's like, you know, John's like, wait, you know, my lord, it's like, there's a Stark pup for like each child and stuff, and they were meant to have them and stuff. I remember in the book, like they actually showed like the inner monologue, and it's like Ned wanted to like hug his like bastard son at that moment because he's like gave him a legitimate out, an honorable out from having to like kill these pups.
The place of honor.
A special guest.
What a twist!
Joining us, technically 2 special guests.
Yeah.
Is that the twist?
So,
That's the twist.
I'm wearing my Stark shirt. This might be the final Stark. What was the episode called? The one last Stark?
The
Stark?
last of the Starks.
Last Stark standing?
I watched the
Last
episode
Stark
so
standing.
early. I refreshed the page. When it goes up, it just says episode 4. And in the description's like, the latest episode in the award-winning show. Like, they give you nothing.
Oh, that's so funny.
It's pretty good.
You know what? This is not comfortable for a short person.
pillows?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like either my...
You want,
Oh, no, this is good.
you good?
Here we go. Thanks.
Okay.
All right.
We were talking about Ghost, the send-off.
Ah, Ghost! Sorry, I yelled. That was... No. No, that's
There we
not
go.
how Ghost goes. That's okay. There's so many problems with that, and I want to go all the way back. Maybe we've already talked about this to season 1, when Arya sends Nymeria away and they kill Lady. Like, this is a bad sign. You don't get rid of your wolf, and like Nymeria's still out there, and Ghost is still out there, but like you're basically saying like how Arya basically was like, I am no one now. I am not a Stark. And, like, I guess he's not a Stark, but is he really a Targaryen? And, like, is he even really alive, you know?
Yeah. So, before you got here, I was arguing that I felt his decision to send Ghost north was more humane because of taking him south. Direwolves don't fare well in the south with warmer weather, and he's already very injured from fighting. To take him into more battle is just... Do you really want to do that to something you care about? But, like, the actual interaction was such a disappointment.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it felt, like, so cold. It felt like he had transformed almost into, like, Ned Stark at that point, where he's very, like, harsh, very, like, disciplined, and doesn't show a lot of emotion because he's got to be viewed as, like, this kind of, like, Iron Rock, of the North.
Right.
And I even that argument, I still can't fully swallow.
Yeah.
Well, you don't see the
Yeah.
struggle. If you
Yeah.
could see that, like, he wanted to go to Ghost, but maybe other people were beckoning him, and he's like, I don't have time, Ghost. Like, if you could see, the fight, but it's like, he just was like, yeah, whatever.
I mean, okay.
I gotta go, we're late.
Here's the thing. Ghost is not like a pet hamster. Okay? Ghost is a spirit animal and is connected to the Starks in a deeper way than I think the show really was able to delve into. One does not simply send their spirit animal into Mordor. You just don't like I just don't think that he should have left. To me, that is a clear indication of a character separation. It's a choice that hopefully the show writers are making, but that goes with the story that's unfolding. That's saying, like, Jon has decided to disassociate himself from his previous identity, and so
That's what, yeah.
it's much more epic. And so the fact that he had a longer goodbye with Tilly than he did with Ghost is kind of like, not Tilly, Gilly.
Gilly, yeah.
Who's Tilly?
I think Samuel Tarly
Disneyland?
and Gilly, maybe you're mixing Tarly
No,
and Gilly.
Tilly.
The ticket lady at Disneyland's Tilly.
There's Tilly.
Tully?
Who's Tully?
I mean, that's the...
Tarly?
I mean, yeah, I'm just trying to throw names out there to, like, maybe it's,
No,
ring a
who's
bell.
Tilly. See, I started listening to the books again.
Oh.
Tansy!
There we go. Actually might be. It's been a while.
Tansy!
It's been a while.
Oh, the books. And then we complained that, the show was just like, oh, look, Rhaegal got shot. Anyway, moving on. You're like, that was a dragon. Okay. That was quick.
Yeah, just no... Yeah, I mean, yes, we see Dany get angry and do, like, a suicide dive at Euron. Like, she's
That
like...
doesn't really amount to anything.
But, like,
and, yeah.
no, after that scene,
Yeah.
like, to take it in, no mourning. It's just, I just want to, like, let's go to King's Landing and burn it down. It's like, okay, but, these children you cared so much about, you lost another one.
Yeah.
Which makes, I don't have to get into it yet, but it makes something she does at the end of the episode seem even more kind of like she's either out of her mind, or the show writers just don't know anymore how to, like, keep track of things and make things believable.
Yeah, I don't really like where they're going with Dany's character.
It seems like you're kind of pushing her towards something, but again, it's just 2 episodes left. Like, are we going to have the time to do a redirect or have her like reach some critical emotional climax and then have that be satisfying?
I just don't want her to become the Mad Queen. I just like that would suck. Like I feel like she can be angry, but it doesn't necessarily mean everything they've shown shown so far makes you think, okay, they're really gonna do it. They're gonna make her a Mad Queen. She's gonna burn everything. And there's still part of me deep down is like, please, writers, like, please have some like foresight to like not fall into that trap and like at the 11th hour pull a thing where she like beats everyone's expectations, does something completely unexpected. It's like everyone looks at her like, oh my gosh, she is the queen we fell in love with. She is like the ruler we all hoped she would be and stuff, because for all these seasons we've been rooting for her. She's continuously shown that she will do the right thing. Even if she makes a mistake, people around her be like, this is why that wasn't the best thing. And now here at the end, they're trying to be like, she's gonna ignore all that. She's just gonna like give in to her hate. I'm like, no, I don't know.
It really bothers me.
Obviously, there's gonna be some, especially if like it's an episode ender. Like, you know, it's like you think back a couple episodes. They're like Jaime and Bran back together. This is gonna be messy, and like it's fine. Like it's not that big of a deal. So I even think like, especially at the end of a episode when it's like Daenerys angrily walking off and Tyrion like, I don't see that like totally playing out the worst way you would imagine it. It's obviously it's TV, and it's also Game of Thrones, where like it's not. That's why I've always believed that, you know, Dany's not going to sit on that throne, because like that's what she says she's going to do, and like whenever a character says they're going to do something, it's usually not like the exact opposite, but they usually throw a curveball in there.
Yeah, I just have an issue with the way that, especially this episode, it feels like really undermined the strength of the female characters, and I don't know if they're just trying to sow discord by making it look like everybody loves Jon and so Daenerys is out, but like they spent so much time showing us that Daenerys is learning and becoming this great leader, and now they're kind of they're like doing this very cliched like, oh, she's an angry woman, she's too emotional, and it's really rubbing me the wrong way, and the competitiveness between Sansa and Dany really bothers me, because that's sort of a stereotypical thing, like, oh, women in power can't get along, like that makes me feel icky. And so I'm kind of I had a lot of icked out moments from the episode last night, where like my lady heroes are just, you know, losing all of this power that they had. Like what they did with Brienne really bothered me too. I never shipped Brienne and Jaime. I always thought that was a good friendship, and I really disliked, like, I don't mind that they got together, but I disliked that suddenly she was begging him not to go. It would have been much more believable for me as Brienne's character to be like, I know I slept with the Kingslayer. Like, she always knew that he was a dishonorable person, and so the fact that she forgot it in a night of passion, it doesn't ring true for me.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I wonder if my read on that scene, their exchange at night, their like motivations, because I saw a lot of complaints about that scene, and ultimately undermining Brienne's, like, you know, character arc. And for some reason in my head, this could also be like my headcanon just overrides what I'm seeing, because it makes it better than what I'm watching, just to try and salvage it. But in my mind, basically, she was like, the reason she was begging is because she knew that he was going back because he's going back to kill Cersei. Like, he is not going back. He's not going back because he wants to be with her. He's going back because he realized how, like, he overheard what she had done. He's like, listen, like, she's never gonna stop. Like, and Tyrion even said in episode 4, you know her and you still love her and stuff. It's like, you know what, like, basically, you know what you have to do. You need to go end her. Like, and you've become better. You've tried to redeem yourself and stuff, but like ultimately, she is part of like your greatest sin, and like this, I feel like this is something new, and I think Brienne has accepted to, like, he's gonna have to do this, and it's like, but like Like, can you?
I do feel like that's your
okay.
headcanon.
Okay.
I
Okay.
really do.
Okay.
And it's what I want as well. It's absolutely
Yeah.
what I want, but it's not the scene that they paint.
Okay.
It's so
Yeah.
My head
rushed.
was overriding it.
The
All
whole
right.
expanse, of their relationship was like one episode, and
But
so it's just like
I really,
so abrupt.
I think it's gonna go there. Now I'm 100%. I think Jamie's gonna defenestrate Cersei. Things I do for
Good
love.
word.
Well, if there's a word for it.
Like, so, here.
That word's not often
what do you
used
think's
if
more
there's a word
likely
for
then?
it at Easy Allies.
Do you think it's if he has a chance he'll kill Cersei, or do you think someone
totally.
tries to kill her and he steps in the way to like take the sword?
No,
from
I
her?
no, I
I think he's
oh
gonna
man.
kill her.
Okay,
Oh,
good. Thank you.
Or
Okay, at
maybe
least
they'll both fall from the tallest tower.
yeah, maybe he'll grab her and like the
Yeah.
things I do for
I think-
love.
I think there's-
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Yeah.
I think there's going to be some symbolism with the hand too.
That's how it
Yeah.
ends. He
Yeah.
pushes her
Yeah.
out a window.
Yeah.
There's gonna be-
I mean,
Oh my god.
There's going to be some kind of
poetic.
physicality with the hand. He's going to hit her with it or
Yeah.
choke her with it or something, But
Yeah.
I think he's going to die in the exchange. I think there's going to be a kind of a Romeo
well,
and
but that's
Juliet.
what-
Yeah.
You know.
There's going to be some kind of Romeo and Juliet, the two of them draped over each other, dying. Like it's going to
Yeah.
be like they were,
Yeah.
always each other's worst enemies.
Yeah, I don't think
but I don't
Arya's-
necessarily. Oh, sorry.
I don't think Arya. Sorry, I used to think that Arya was gonna do it, but now that Arya killed the Night King, I think she's gonna do some other stuff. She does have unfinished business, so who knows? Because that's definitely
Yeah.
that definitely lent itself towards thinking she's gonna go check off the rest of her list, which is mostly Cersei and the Mountain now.
Yeah.
So maybe it's gonna be, instead of Clegane Bowl, it's gonna be Arya Mountain Bowl.
I think there's still going to be Clegane Bowl. I think the problem's going to be that unless they do some bad writing to break the mountain's like RP, which he's like a mindless zombie essentially.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he starts spouting words and stuff like, you can break your vow of silence now. You've slain your enemies. Like, talk to like the Hound
Yeah.
and stuff and taunt him. That there's gonna be, it's all gonna be one-sided emotion from like the Hound, trying to get it out. And like, I think what's gonna, like, honestly, what I'd love to see happen to fulfill like this arc, like this character arc to its end, is he might win the fight, but he gets really badly wounded. And Arya's finally the one, like, you're gonna leave me to die again? She goes, this time she kills him.
Okay.
She actually gives him mercy and goes, you're off my list.
Or finishes the job with the Mountain. Like the Mountain does win that fight
yeah.
because it
Both.
seems like
Both.
that actually seems like the likely. It's like the Hound's great and all, but man, he is just a force. He's like Thanos, man. I mean, he's just this really big purple, like
he's already
wrecking
dead.
ball. And so I wouldn't be surprised if the Hound, that would just seem kind of also in line, the Hound constantly fighting these battles that like he has no chance of winning.
Can I say, rest in peace, Miss Sandy?
Yeah, rough.
yeah,
Cool.
can I
That
also say,
sucked.
how did they
But
capture
so abrupt.
her?
Yeah, so abrupt.
And she wasn't.
And how did they know?
And how they get her to up in the tower so fast? And why wasn't she wet from the ocean if it was that?
That was all
quickly?
the teleportation, man. They
Yeah,
teleported
Euron's
her.
teleporting
The
powers.
Eurons teleported her back to the tower. They
Euron's
teleported
shit.
down to King's Landing. They were just at King's Landing. Daenerys
Oh,
and Tyrion's just like,
They-
hey, what's up?
They
It's like,
just
oh yeah.
attached her
they're-
to a really big raven.
Okay.
I'm
But
just
it's
waiting-
like that's remember like her coming home to Dragonstone, she's like touching the sand, like yeah. And this is like she made it King's Landing. She finally like went down to King's Landing, and it's just like, oh yeah, just kind of the front gates though. It's not a big deal. Then turn it around, go back home. It was such a weird shot. Then
Yeah,
like the
where-
small little like contingency of
Where
like
was that?
40 soldiers. That was like the front
No, that was like
front
the
gate. I think.
No, that was like the back.
I feel like it has to be the way facing maybe Dorne, because it was so
Yeah.
barren and deserty
Yeah.
in front,
I know.
and like I thought they've seen,
weird.
I thought we've seen shots leading up to it where it's like
Right.
grassy and stuff. I was
Like,
like,
which
wait,
weird.
gate was it?
it looked
weird.
like it was should have been like over in
Yeah.
like Essos somewhere. It was
Right.
like one of those cities.
I agree.
It was the most abrupt, hurried episode like of the season. Reminded me of like some weird season 6, 7 shenanigans of just like, wow, they wrapped that up so fast.
Weird because it didn't start that way. The
Yeah.
episode was so slow and like
Beautiful.
showing you like the fallout from the last
Very sad.
episode. At least
Yeah.
they did that part right. No matter what gripes I think people might have had with the long night episode,
Yeah.
the funeral scene after was really good.
All the corpses I thought were
Yes.
really affecting.
Like
and-
everyone
and-
saying goodbye to that, and then
Yeah.
like that somber celebration where
Yeah.
there's like not even really talking going on at first. You don't hear any cheering or celebration, and then as like people start to break the ice, people are like, yeah, we got to kind of get back to like normal life. We still got these other things to worry about.
And like a hall of people drinking and talking about the realm is like Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It's like that scene comes up so many times in those books.
However, the very modern drinking game that that Tyrion and all of them were playing.
It's just a
I was
device. Like,
that game's called, I believe, Have You Ever?
Yeah.
And like,
yeah, it's like,
you could go into any
it's like the
frat house
Babysitter's Club.
right now, and you could play that game. Like everyone knows what that is. It was. I'm like, why couldn't the writers think of a different, like, they might as well have just been playing Truth or Dare. They literally might have.
They play it in previous seasons, I guess,
Truth or Dare.
or whatever they were playing last
They
night.
play.
yeah.
They play. I've never. Have you ever? Listen,
In season 1,
I'm
apparently.
not doing any drinking games right now.
It was with
Have I never game, yeah.
Tyrion, Shay, and Bronn.
Shay was her name, yeah. And they try and get him to talk about his
Well,
first
Shay,
wife, and he's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I thought that's where it was going to go originally, that
Right.
drinking game.
Right.
I thought they were going to go back to that again. I was
Oh,
like,
but
this-
they had kind of a reference to it, which is like, you've been married
married, and
before.
I was like,
and he looked at
oh.
Tyrion, he looked at Jamie like, you son of like,
Sansa,
that's
yeah.
a bitter.
Yeah. That's not a nice thing.
Ugh.
I mean, and also the little dig at Brienne, like, you've danced with Renly. It's like,
Yeah.
poor Brienne.
But I mean, that's another thing about this episode is they're, saying goodbye to Tormund, saying goodbye to Sam, saying goodbye to Ghost, saying,
like-
there's just a lot of farewells.
There were good farewells. Like, I know people like
There was
the
a
Harpoon Ghost.
culling of the cast for sure in
yeah,
the
like-
last couple episodes.
It's like, yeah, Tormund's like, you really, unless there's like an epilogue or something, you won't see him again, very
No.
likely.
Yeah.
And like Sam and Gilly, it's like that, and little Sam, it's like, that's it. Like, that relationship was like, this has been around since season 1. I was
Yeah.
like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's how they end. I was like, oh, okay.
That's abrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tormund's gone from the show. We have to see Sam again.
I
There's
thi-
no way.
There's gotta be an
There's no
epilogue.
way we're not
I
seeing
think
Sam.
that
Sam's the
gonna
scholar.
Go to,
We're gonna go back
what
to
is
him.
it, Hornhall? Is that where he's
Harrenhal?
from? No, Horn.
Oh,
Sam's,
sorry, yes,
Sam's
yes.
seat.
Yeah, because
it-
he's now like
'Cause
the
he's
last
Lord,
male
he's Lord
heir.
Tully now.
Yeah.
He's Lord Tarly.
Tarly.
Gosh.
From,
and
it's-
Tilly is from Star Trek.
Okay.
Discovery.
Oh, there we go.
There we
Yeah.
go. Yes.
Yeah.
It's
The
by the
Tullys are-
Citadel, right?
Cat knew the Tullys,
Yeah.
right?
Cat is a Tully.
Cat is a Tully.
No, and Sam is a Tarly.
I
Yeah.
got that
Get it
confused for a
straight.
long time too. It's like Tully, Tarly. Like, wait, which is it?
Yeah.
Like season 1, I was
Well,
like, huh?
not to mention Usha and Asha.
I forgot about that. Yes.
You're welcome.
Uh,
But yeah, no, I think he's gonna go, like, get his forces and be like, let's ride.
oh yeah, like help.
Yeah.
You should. Yeah, like that would be a cool thing to see. Like, because you have to imagine the forces of like good are like pretty depleted now. It's like
Yeah,
like
they
Daenerys' forces like
really-
they need help.
Who did Sam give his family sword to?
To Ser Jorah Mormont.
Yeah.
Who died? So
yes.
then, did they retrieve it?
Probably because
Because
he died with
Valerian
it by him.
steel.
He died with it by his side, protecting
Yeah.
Daenerys. He still had it,
Yeah.
but he might have left it with him. He might have like when they
Yeah.
burned the pyres, he might have been like,
But it's an ancestral sword. Those are generally passed down.
yeah. Jon still has the Mormont one technically.
Yeah, John has Jorah's sword, basically.
Yeah, that
and
was meant for
Jorah
him.
had
It's
Sam's sword. And Ice has become multiple blades of unknown
Yeah, does Jamie
location.
or Bran have who has that
Jamie
one?
has
now?
part of Ice,
Okay.
and I believe that Tyrion also got part of it, or was supposed to, but then it went somewhere else. And then
Joffrey had one.
Joffrey had part of it, and then there's a little dagger. The little dagger was the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo.
Arya has Littlefinger Tyrion. Yeah, Tyrion's original.
Yes.
The original dagger, but Brienne has part of Ice.
Okay, so Oathkeeper. Yeah, became
Oathkeeper.
named Oathkeeper. I didn't know she
That's
gave it
it.
back to Jamie, and Jamie actually took it back or not.
Yeah, I wonder.
But yeah, the whole scene at Winterfell, I saw it mentioned in chat. Thank you for reminding me. There was one last scene that does happen there that's of importance. Bronn shows up.
Yeah.
The one
Yeah.
that Cersei paid.
That played out pretty much as I expected.
Yeah. But I'm curious because I did see some people felt it was really out of character for Bronn.
Oh no, that's so Braun.
in character.
That's
Yeah.
what's great about Braun is that like he really is the one guy who doesn't care. Like he like because it's so classic to have like the Han Solo, the mercenary, to come in and be like, look, I'm here for the money. I don't have time to deal with this. And in the end, they're like, I'll rescue you. And you're like, they're friends now.
Yeah.
And I like that Braun's still like, I don't care. Like I'm in this for conquest. I'm in this to
For money.
And even when he thinks about castles, like even when he gets a lot, and I think that's actually the same in the books too. When he like does get rewards, he's like, it's not really what I wanted. Like,
No,
I kind of he's never kind of happy. He's always like trying to figure out what's like the
basically
next
retires to his
payday.
castle. He, as far as I remember, he's like, yeah, I'm good. I've got my keep and my gold, and I've got food, and I'm comfy. And he doesn't. In the books, there was no like Rocky training sequence with
Sure.
Jamie.
Yeah.
But we might not have gotten to it yet.
Could still happen. Yeah.
Could still
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. I'm really.
He's just the ultimate opportunist, and that's what he was doing in this
Yeah,
scene.
like, I
I like when he backed out of the
understand.
war. He's like, I'm not
I
fighting the battle.
honestly,
Why would I?
Yeah, I felt I didn't read it that way at all. Like he's seen how crazy things have gotten.
Yeah.
He knows that people who promised him stuff he got and it was taken away and they've died and stuff. He's just like, listen, like I know you all are crazy. You all are crazy assholes. And you know what? I want the promise from you. So I'm either getting this from Cersei, she wins, or if you win, I'm getting this from you one way or the other. And then
Yeah.
like shooting the bolt at like Jamie's head, like he does what he means to do. He's an expert marksman, expert fighter. If you meant to kill Jamie, you would have shot him. Like he put it as close as possible. Like, listen, dude.
Yeah.
Take me seriously, because I trained you and stuff, but like don't like Tyrion already knows. Don't mistake us for like friends or anything like that. That will take precedent over my desire to be well off in life and, and to live longer, essentially.
Yeah.
And like he was just like, I don't fight anymore. He goes, I'm old. Like I'm older. I don't want to do this crap anymore. I just want a nice place and like.
He wants a guarantee.
Yeah.
He wants a guarantee on his retirement. If Tyrion lives, I think he'll get it. I don't think he's gonna show up and be some kind of heroic character. I think he'll just he'll just get it. And he's right. Like some of these lords were the killingest bastards out there. Are we allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a swear word?
Damiani just said assholes.
He did.
I don't know if I've ever heard Damiani
There
say
was
assholes
another.
before.
This I was thinking about this earlier. In that scene, Bronn goes, "You can't fight me," to Jamie. He's like, "I know you can barely wipe your own ass," or something like that. And I was like, "Yeah, but Jamie survived the battle with all the zombies. But basically, you just had to keep swinging."
Basically, just have him back against the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you just kept doing this
Right.
because they were unskilled.
This is the one hand.
Oh yeah, like, that would have been really tiring. I would have braced it though with the gold hand. I would have braced it if I were Jamie. But what I'm saying is like it was an unskilled battle. So it's true we haven't seen Jamie have to do a skilled battle.
He won't win a
And we're not going to get that. Yeah,
He
again,
will
that's not.
And I think wasn't the jab actually even when you like had both hands, I could have probably beat you. Yeah, it's like I thought that was the jab. It was like so he's like sit down, like you have zero chance here, bud. Like don't even try.
Well, because Bronn will use any tactic.
Yeah, I love that. Like when we saw him fighting in the Eyrie, at the Vale, it was just like hi. I don't care. He had honor. He fought with honor.
Yeah,
that's what
I view that as less of something that's going to pay off in like a victory sense or like an epilogue of Bronn, and more just the closure of those two storylines, Bronn and Tyrion and Bronn and Jamie. And I just think they didn't want every single scene to be like, well, goodbye, character. See you later. And so that kind of served the same thing as him just straight up saying goodbye to Tormund. It was kind of like goodbye to Bronn. Like, wow, look where we are now, like you go all the way back to Tyrion, like needing someone to help him when he was at the tower, and like Bronn stepped forward and like, look where we are now. Look at all we've achieved, what we still have yet to try to do.
And it was nice too that there was a callback to what Tyrion said initially, which was whatever anyone will offer you, I will double it. I will always double it. And he's like, remember what I said? I said I'd do that. And he's like, I remembered. And it made me really nostalgic for the parts of the series when it was Gurm's lines. And the TV writer lines they just don't have the substance to them. And, I want to be frustrated with Gurm, but he's so good. And right now I'm re-listening to Clash of Kings. And so...
Book 3.
Book 2.
Book 2?
Yeah.
Oh.
Clash of Storm of Swords is book 3.
Oh.
And
Clash of Kings so good. It was season 3, I think, so that's maybe what I'm confused.
But last night I put on an episode from season 2 of the thing that I was listening to, and it was just verbatim the lines. They were more condensed, but it's so nice.
Yeah,
It was nice.
I know people want to see action in this last season because a lot of stuff has to happen, but like some of the things I've enjoyed the most so far about this season have been like the moments where they let things breathe and have dialogue exchanges again, because that's what used to be so good about the show, was like these scenes where characters had conversations. I had a friend who I tried to get into it, and he goes, "They just sit around and talk all day?" I'm like, "Yeah, but listen to what they're like. It's really good dialogue. Like, you don't need to like have action every scene to be engaging." And like, it's kind of lost that. And I tried to get back to it a little bit this season, but it hasn't quite been up to par with past expectations. And like, I would have loved to like had like Bronn tagging along like longer and like longer conversations with Tyrion and Jaime about like stuff. And it's just like it's reduced to that one scene in that tavern, and it's like, you may or may not see Bronn again, and you probably will, but you don't know. Like, and that would be, that's all you got to see him. It was like, Cersei made him an offer, he talked to Tyrion and Jaime, and that might be it. I was like, wow, and remember all the journey with him and Tyrion and stuff, and like all their conversations? Like, I just want stuff to get, I wish we could just have a scene that was a caliber of like that, Tywin and Arya back in the older seasons, like their conversation, like was it season 2 or season 3? I forget when they were doing that.
Season 2, I think.
And just like even when she was traveling with like the Hound, like I'm hoping next episode we get like a little bit more of that, since that's what they're doing now. It's like, please, can I have something like that again?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I had a funny thought just now. At the end of every season of the Great British Baking Show, they do like a "Where Are They Now?" and they have little clips, and they could do like an hour-long episode of that at the end of this.
Well, that's kind of my hope for what the last
up.
episode is.
Like, ding,
it's
ding,
just this
ding.
big process
There's
of the
Bronn,
aftermath,
and Bronn's,
you know.
like in his castle. He's
They're like, seriously, you know, toast next week, and
Toast?
then
battle toast.
and we'll be out.
That's happening next week.
By the way, next week will not be a Monday episode. We're going to be doing it later in the week.
Yeah,
we'll be out of town.
Yeah. We're
but
going on a baby.
Our our stream next week will actually, I believe, be on Thursday or Friday. We're still figuring that out.
Should we answer questions and things?
We do have some
We got some
questions. I do have a question for you though,
Oh.
Amanda. In the first 30 minutes, there is one scene that I'm very curious to get your take on. I've read a lot of opinions on it. It's the scene during when Sansa and the Hound have their exchange.
Oh, I liked it.
So to remind viewers, it's basically
I was like, oh, they had their moment, because like even in the books there were times I was like, maybe the Hound is the one true knight that Sansa has dreamed of, or it's the one time that the Hound has felt that he could have the honor that someone like Sansa was looking for in her life. And it was this like very like bittersweet, like not a relationship that you thought was going to come to fruition, but just that the Hound suddenly had this bright spot in his life, and he always treated her so gently and like tried to protect her in his own way. And I think, the Hound's not, he doesn't have a spotless reputation, and he's had a hard life, but I think he loved her naivete, and I think there was part of him that thought like if she could keep that innocence, that he could have some part of his innocence too. And the fact that like no, the world just messed them both up, it's very sad. So I thought it was a really sweet scene, and he was like, listen, maybe I could have spared you all of this if you'd just come away with me. And she was like, yeah, but if you'd spared me all of this, I wouldn't, basically she's like, I wouldn't have grown up. I disliked that she somehow credited Ramsay Bolton with her maturation. I really have an issue with the idea of, because I was abused, that helped me to like. It's again, that was one of the things that rankled me.
I would recommend that for anybody. You
No,
don't want that kind of tone. Yeah.
No, it rankled me as like, it's very much akin to the there's a lot of like rape stories for like superhero birth. And like, so the woman has this trauma, which is often rape, and then she becomes the thing, and that's Sansa's story as well. And so that I didn't like that line, but I liked the scene as a whole, and I liked that they had a moment together to acknowledge that past.
Yeah, I thought for the most part, yeah, it was a good scene like that. Everything you described, I think, yeah, it was the writers flubbed it.
Yeah.
With like trying to use that as a tool for the character development when it's like all they just had to say probably is like what I went through was Ramsey. Or not
Right.
Sorry, not Ramsey.
With
Littlefinger. Sorry,
Littlefinger.
Littlefinger.
Right.
In the Eyrie. Like that was it.
Yeah.
That was her her in King's Landing. That was her like learning how the world
Well, I
works
mean,
and stuff.
She had a terrible
Yeah.
run of it.
But
Yeah.
also, it was nice for the first part of that scene. It was also nice to kind of like fold to this 2 episodes before when the Hound was talking with Arya about like, I protected you, didn't I? Like, yeah, like he has this side of him where obviously he's come over to do like
Right.
fight for this like good side. And consider where he was. Like, he was, like, basically drunk all the time. Like, more wine. Like, F water, I just want more wine, I don't want water and stuff. And was just, like, following orders. Just blindly following orders. And I think he just had this point. He's like, what am I doing? Why am I, like, here? He still likes to fight. He still likes to kill, obviously. Like, it has not been completely purged from him. But at the same time, I feel like I think it just makes him a nice, complex character. And it's one of the ones I've done justice to so far.
Yeah.
And I hope they don't screw it up in the next episode, please.
Yeah.
Oh, please don't screw up the Hound. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I think that scene also like represented the like shoulda, woulda, coulda of everyone's mindset of just like, hey, if I'd only done this differently, then imagine everything that would have changed.
Yeah.
Looking back on the season, I think like they all have decisions like
Yeah.
that, and so I think they just kind of used their relationship as an example of that. But like that could apply to so many different people.
Yeah.
What if John hadn't joined the Night's Watch? What if just like
Yeah, well, I mean, if the Hound had left the city with Sansa, then he wouldn't have traveled with Arya. So,
right? It's a fun thing to think about when you're done with the series.
Say, actually, I thought she was going to reference like
Yeah.
you wouldn't have like protected. We wouldn't be here now or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the fact, like, when Gendry proposed to Arya,
yeah.
I was like,
Forgot
oh,
about
that's...
that.
I was like, that's sweet. And I was like, but Arya's not gonna...
Yeah, that's...
Arya can't. Like,
Yeah.
Arya's not... Like, she and Bran are not... They're not really people anymore. Like Arya's got some connections to the different people that she has been. Arya the cat catcher, and Arya the fish girl, and all of these. Arya the lady, like all of these parts of her, but she's not anyone. Like she could never settle down and just be a lady in a castle.
That was a great throwback line too.
Yeah.
Like when she basically gave the same thing that she told her father. Like, I'm not a lady. That's not who I am. Like, you
Yeah.
don't know me, Dad. It's like, get your same thing, Gendry. Like that. I like, you're a good person, but like what you're proposing me represents everything I'm not.
Yeah.
And like, if you don't see that, you really don't understand me, and we're not.
Yeah.
You're not good for me in the end. Yeah.
But it made me sad for Gendry. 'Cause
Poor
he's a
Gendry.
sweetheart.
He'll just have to go back and be alone.
He's young.
Yeah.
He's young.
He's young. He's got those blacksmithy arms. He'll be okay.
He'll be fine. Also, yeah, like I like that. Like I also feel like Arya's like current Arya is like a balancing act. A lot of people like to try and argue against her argument, like family first and stuff, and then like she'll do something. She's like leaving Winterfell now, and like why is she abandoning her family? Like, well, what is she doing? She's going south to probably try and kill Cersei too, which is to protect their family. But also, I felt like her time with trained to be like a faceless person was essentially. Who is a girl? Nobody.
Yeah.
You're not really like it wasn't necessarily abandoning who she was. It's like you need to be able to adapt at any moment and be able to like just drop that on a dime. Like shed those responsibilities and those burdens and those ties to fulfill a different goal. Like because that is like that's the ultimate freedom that makes you like the ultimate threat. And so she can be in the moment and be a Stark and act like a Stark. But ultimately, I think a lot of that was also like it was part true, but also I think a lot of it was about her training. Like that's
Yeah.
who she now is that she can fit into any mold now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jaqen is going to kill Arya just to pay a debt. I don't know that. I think that she could die, but I think she'll probably more than likely go back to serve.
The Darkened Cloud says the Dothraki were done though. I didn't see any. They were in the war room.
Who?
They said half of them were
Yeah,
alive or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
You see a couple.
Someone earlier said.
You see a couple with Mormont run away.
Yeah.
You know, run
Yeah.
away. But
Yeah.
There's not half.
No.
there was one that was very sour.
Not
Like
in the filming of it,
he like reached
no.
forward and grabbed his little blocks like
Yeah.
Yeah.
from the
Maybe
table.
they said
He was-
half the Unsullied. I'm sorry, which still doesn't make sense. How
It
half.
looked like all of them, and I also have another issue then because of because when I was thinking about, well, Jamie doesn't have any battle skill, he was just swinging wildly. Well, then why didn't all of these amazing trained fighters have a higher success rate? I did think that,
Not armor.
like am I overthinking it?
You're not overthinking.
I'm not overthinking it. So I did think that, like, I get that there were overwhelming numbers and then it was like a tidal wave of zombies and that's hard to fight against. But you have to swing wildly against wild whites. It's true. But I think we could. I think that they didn't show the 50%, but if it wasn't half, I mean, that's really unfair.
Yeah.
Like Jamie was just next to Brian, and Brian was like he's like, I'm really fighting them, and Brian's like, my sword's just longer, I'm taller than you. I'm getting them all.
As I said last episode, it used to be like Salmon, just use faint death trick, it worked. It's super effective.
Yeah.
I'm just like acting scared. It's like, he's no threat. It's like the Borg, like he's not a threat.
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
Keep
Borg,
moving
yeah.
on.
No, it's good
Keep
vibes,
moving
good
on.
vibes.
He's not
Yeah.
a threat anymore. We don't do anything about him.
He was just like, I'm too scared to fight. Like, okay, we won't fight you then.
It seems like such a traditional easy note for Game of Thrones in general to be like, that conversation was too short. I want more time, when like these episodes are huge in length. But like, one, I totally understand, but I was bummed because I wanted to see their reactions, and it kind of sucked that we were robbed of that. Was Sansa and Arya hearing that their brother is a Targaryen? Like, we kind of skipped it, and like,
Yeah.
great, super smart way to save time, but kind of a bummer, just completely jump that. And I thought the scene with Daenerys and Jon, where they're making out, then they're arguing, then they're making out again, then they're arguing, and now they're separate, was so fast and like.
I beg you, please don't.
Yeah, it was
tell
so soap
scene.
opera-y. I just like, they're discovering so many interesting things. I just really want to soak in those moments of really, even like looking back to the Sam, Daenerys scene, where she meets him is like cut short by tragedy, and it seems like they're always looking for that out of like, please, how do we wrap the scene up in 2 pages? As we just don't have time, to go through everything. But everything's so rushed.
Yeah.
This episode felt more rushed than any episode this season. This is really the one where I was like, whoa, that's over, and wow, we're at King's Landing, and whoa, I guess Tormund's
that's what
gone,
you pointed
and
out before we started the going live is that where they ultimately end up, like, holy crap, we're just there, hi, and like with two little rows of Unsullied, and her dragon just. I can
hanging out.
I can overlook a lot
a
of like
dragon.
logical things to suspend disbelief because there could always be something that was never said on screen that was in the writer's head that it doesn't convey. It's like, okay, that's bad writing, but at the same time, there is still a logical explanation. Why the dragon was in the field within the range of all the scorpions, the dragon killers is like, after what just happened, I was like
standing in the back, like, I'm gonna get you.
I thought it was the end. I was like, maybe they have like a whole army hiding in the bushes or something waiting to come out. I was like, is this it? Like, are they just like, is she just like wanting to like die or something?
Yeah.
And then like no firing. I'm like, oh,
and
what's going on here? I'm kind of confused.
One of the other things I want to get to that
agree.
King's Landing scene because there's a lot to talk about there, but like, there's just something. It's like when one time travel thing or one like teleportation move. The Littlefinger did it all the time, but like Gendry last season where he's like, run Gendry, run to the wall, and he just like jumps on that raven and flies there. But it's like, it's just one guy. So when it was always like one person, it didn't really bother me that much when they were able to just, I think like Davos does it once too, just like whoop, he just pops into a scene. You're like, how the hell? Because like what, you're just gonna show somebody like cloppity clop, like on horseback or like in a boat, looking out, and like that's it. That's all this really to show because it was just them traveling. There's something about that Winterfell to King's Landing run, especially because there's one episode they play it up a lot of times in the books, but there's one episode even on the show that like there's not a lot that's happening. I think they're just talking about Daenerys, but like I remember there's this great picnic scene between Robert Baratheon and Ned Stark where they're on their way in season 1 from Winterfell to King's Landing, and they like stop to be like, man, this takes a while. You make the journey in the beginning of the show. Dun, 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 dun. You can see like how far away it is, and when you look at that big vertical map, it's like King's Landing's right on the bottom, Winterfell's right on the top. And so when a whole mass of people make that pilgrimage in 2 seconds, that's when it really stands out for me. Of like, man, I just wanted one last scene between Tyrion and Daenerys or something. Well, you can see their whole troops riding down, the Unsullied and everything. Oh, they're almost there. Oh, look, there's King's Landing in the distance. But boy, to just blink and they're there was strange.
So it is in the books as well. It is much faster to take boat than the high road. The King's Road, and so Jon and army are taking the King's Road back to King's Landing, whereas Dany went to her fleet in the ocean and they sailed. And Catelyn,
did they have the fleet though? Didn't the fleet get destroyed when her dragon died?
Well, no, they were already there.
Storm's End is not that far from King's Landing.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's
So they're already at.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
they basically made it.
Got it.
In book 1, Catelyn gets this letter from her sister and wants to get down to King's Landing because she has this info and she's got to get it, but she can't send it via Raven because it's too, she doesn't want somebody hacking a Raven.
Right.
So she takes a boat and she's there before. No, she gets
Right.
there really fast. Ned is there, but she gets there really, really fast.
So that was probably like the North Gate, right? That was probably like, if King's Landing's right in the harbor here, the north, like east side, like the side right by the ocean, maybe at the end.
You're going to say I think you have to go down to White Harbor,
Yeah.
or you're going to go Eastwatch by the sea. That's how Stannis arrived to attack the Wildlings. Came by from Storm's End to Eastwatch by the sea, or you go down to White Harbor and then you take the sea route there.
Be interesting to see where they're at next season, next episode. Because in the beginning of the episodes where it's like Winterfell, King's Landing. Be interesting to see if we even like fly through Winterfell next time. Because like none of the episodes probably going to take place there, right? I guess Sansa will be there, but she might leave too. Who knows?
In the
intro.
Oh.
So I wonder if you'll be able to tell who's where, because you could see like the soldiers gear up in that. You could see like the little sticks pop out of the ground when they were like digging the trench.
Right.
And you could see like where specifically where the undead were marching from.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll see a little taste of that in the next
I
episode.
do want to talk about what they're saying here in chat about the Euron ships hiding.
Yeah, we joked about that at the start of the episode.
Yeah, like you're up on the dragon.
Yeah, peekaboo.
You could see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even if you're hiding behind a big rock that's in the water.
They still can be able to
And why didn't they have like scout?
Yeah, that's it. There was a lot of that with Daenerys. Like there's a lot of Daenerys scenes in the book of people running back and being like, "Okay, I marched ahead for a really long time, especially with the Dothraki, and like I'll tell you everything that we're seeing."
Like what? Why did they?
To have no idea that they were there.
Why did they think they could just like la? Let's go back to Storm's to Dragonstone. They were Dragonstone.
Yeah,
Dragonstone. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like la. Let's go back to Dragonstone, and like it's really close to King's Landing, but I'm sure no one's gone there while we've been out. It's like no, you abandoned a keep. Like abandoned keeps don't keep.
Yeah.
That's what I was telling Barry at the beginning, Amanda. I thought Cersei just set up a whole bunch of armies to there and took it
Why
over.
wouldn't you?
Or just like hiding in the keep, waiting for her. Like I thought it was gonna be when the shot fire. Like they're about to be ambushed in the keep. Like they abandoned it. There was no one there to defend it. Like this is it. And I was like, no, it's just Euron with his magic, blessed powers, and then being able to like defeat anything. Because like how if you can see them. They can see you. They can't shoot to the rock. I highly doubt the shot was not arched. And there's so many things. Like, why weren't the dragons flying higher to be safe?
Whole time.
She could be distracted, but
la.
It was a dumb shot. That was just a dumb sequence.
Just...
And especially too when he got shot.
Yeah.
That's the thing about arrows is like they point in the direction they're fired from. So he like gets hit with one. It's like not hard to just triangulate where it's shot from.
Where'd it come?
And Daenerys is like, huh? And then he gets like another one in the wing. She's like, but how? And then like right to the neck, and she's like, these could have come from anywhere, And
I would have been much more satisfied if she'd actually finished her dive and fired all the ships and like evaded all of the arrows. That would have been much more satisfying than like, God, no, I fly away.
It's like how fast? How fast do they take? That was the thing. They fired so many shots. How do they reload those things so fast? It's like machine guns.
Yeah.
Like you're on
Qyburn, man. Qyburn's messed up. Qyburn.
She'll let
I
Qyburn
imagine
in there
next
now.
episode will be full of many Qyburn delights.
Qyburn's gonna go bye-bye.
He's gonna have He's gonna have King's Landing wired to bear. But as long as we're talking about Dragonstone, I want to mention one other thing that, and this is something that I always love to keep in mind. Hoffman was great at pointing out this stuff of like the reason why everyone's like, it'd be weird, why wasn't Melisandre in episode 2? It's like because they had to pay her for another episode. It's like there's a lot of stuff. Like you see who directs what episode. There's a lot of packaging within each episode, so it was interesting getting a lot of stuff out of the way this episode. One scene that I thought was fascinating, and I think we should talk about Varys and Tyrion, before we wrap things up, because they had a lot of interesting scenes. There was no other scene that I can remember in the throne room at Dragonstone, and that's like a whole set that they got
Not
in
the
the
season.
throne room.
Well, not
This season, especially this episode.
Well, there hasn't been any episode. No, there hasn't been any.
No,
Right,
When
back
we
at
were back there,
Dragonstone.
they
They haven't
definitely
been to
did it. Like
Dragonstone
last
this
season.
season.
I know, but like there was a lot of planning. There was a lot of Daenerys talking to her generals and stuff. The only scene that was in that throne room that they could have very easily just had it be in the meeting room, or like, or some hallway somewhere, where like, Varys and Tyrion are like, okay, so we wanted to meet here to talk about stuff. They very specifically staged it in the throne room to have that moment of Varys being like, maybe we backed the wrong horse here. Like maybe we made a mistake.
But it echoes a scene that they did in the throne room, like season 1 with Littlefinger and Varys.
Sure, yeah, that was an
So I
interesting
think,
scene.
I mean, if I'm recalling correctly, I think that was the imagery they were going for.
And I think it's just very chilling to kind of see this empty throne room. No one's on the throne, and these two people very close. These advisors, who in Game of Thrones past, like even they can't be trusted in a lot of ways, because we've seen them betray people. We've seen Ned get betrayed. We've seen his kid. Oh boy, who was the Red Wedding? What was Robb? We see Robb get betrayed. So.
And it's also possible that they're just putting a lot of little seeds of discord in between all of our favorite characters.
That I'm sure will get. I'm sure that'll get cleaned up very.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
what they did.
They
with
want things to
Sansa
be
and
as low
Arya
as it
last
can,
season to set up Littlefinger. It's like,
Right.
are they really going to be at each other's
Right.
throats? Nope, we were all planning it
Yeah.
just to fake you out.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
sure.
But I just thought that was interesting. I like seeing Tyrion being like, we're gonna go with Daenerys, and Varys is like, because she's right all the time, and he's like, that's not the point. Like you can't. The reason why this stuff gets so muddy is because people don't. That's why I thought it was really interesting when I first started reading the books. And you were like, so you're reading the books. Who are you into right now? And I was like, who I really like? Stannis. And Amanda was like, really? And I'm like, oh, Stannis is the best. And you were like, that's nice, Brandon. Because he seemed on paper like to make the most sense.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting that people just can't. It's so hard to stick with people for such a long period of time.
I want to say, how weird was the kissing scene with Jon and Dany? Yeah. Well,
He thought it was weird too.
he thought it was weird, but Huber's Glasses likes their relationship, and I think that's the problem, is that the show really built that romance, and the people that knew were like, no, they're related, make it stop. And I mean, for her it's not a big deal, because maybe she was going to marry her brother in a different world, because that was common for the Targaryens. But I mean, I have a lot of issues with the relationship, just in the fact that Jon Snow and Ygritte were pretty solid.
Oh, of course. Well, it's like
And
Sam and Gilly are like the relationship that worked.
right.
There's no other. They all were bad.
Well,
They're
yeah.
all bad.
Well, I
Ned
mean-
and Kat and Robb
Well,
and
Ned
his
Kat,
gal.
Ned
And,
and Kat had a good marriage, but
Tyrion and what's her name? The
Shay?
Shay.
Shay.
They're all bad. They all ended poorly. That's why, again, and they hinted at it just. I wish there was a little bit in this last episode as well, but as everyone was parting ways. But Tyrion and Sansa, I think, just have this very interesting, trustful relationship. Like she shares this interesting secret with him, and
well, yeah, that's why you and I both think
this idea of what if we
Yeah.
put someone on the throne who doesn't want to be, and it's like it's Tyrion basically,
Tyrion,
and
Tyrion
Sansa, like where
Tyrion
she.
in the south and Sansa in the north.
The lessons that they had to leave, which again is why I think the show is so focused on like, here go Jon and Daenerys towards their inevitable victories. It's like, I don't think it's going to work out for either of them.
Yeah.
Like, I think Jon is backing away from everything right now because he's accepting his fate. I think Jon's going to die. I think Daenerys is accepting her fate that like, you know what, you crazy people, keep your kingdom. I'm out. You know, or just like, I don't want that throne. Like, I
Goes
don't.
back to,
Ultimately,
Bay of Dragons.
the one line where she's like, I don't want to control the wheel, I want to break the wheel. And I think I think we're gonna see her do that. You know, it's gonna be messy and yes, I hate the sounds of children on fire.
Yeah.
Kyber, those are pretty uncomfortable sounds. I gotta be honest.
No, I hate.
I've heard,
I don't want to hear them.
No, I know it's rough, but it only lasts for about a day, and then they turn to ash, and it's fine.
Yeah, well, Tyrion. So
Kyber's so
Tyrion
creepy.
mentioned. Tyrion mentioned the pregnancy, but Euron already knew about it at that point because there was a scene earlier where Qyburn confirms the pregnancy, but he did basically say to everybody on that wall, "Your queen is pregnant." And out of wedlock. Your queen is pregnant out of wedlock. So I'm curious. I feel like in the book that would be a move that would have some kind of like there'd be something that would happen from that. Whereas I don't know if the show is taking us in that direction. But I think he purposefully was like protect your unborn child as like either he's calling her bluff or he's making it public so that people know what she's doing, what's going on.
Does Euron and Tyrion are under different impressions about who's the father, though, right?
I think everybody is.
I think that Tyrion.
It's like the Young and the
Jaime.
I
Restless.
think Tyrion
Euron thinks it's
doesn't.
him.
I think that Tyrion. I don't know that Tyrion knows. I don't think he knows whose it is because, I mean, you know, she lied about Robert being the father of her children, so her track record is to lie about who the father is. But I think Jaime might want it to be his,
Okay.
and that's more that again is another thing that might be a splitting point between Jaime and Cersei.
Hot take. She's not pregnant.
No.
And she's going to reveal that when Jaime kills her. I mean,
No,
in that
she's
scene,
not.
that's going to be her final, like, oh yeah, well, screw you.
Yeah.
It's interesting seeing,
I don't think
we were
she's
going back
either.
and watching earlier seasons, it's interesting seeing Littlefinger constantly playing cards. Like, Littlefinger's like, what about this? And someone's like, I hate that, I hate you. And he's like, okay, what about this? You know, he's like always like trying things out. And I think Cersei just was like, oh, originally I was just trying to piss my brother off and manipulate him, but like, hey, if this is gonna work for Euron too, oh wait, now now Daenerys knows? Okay, I can play this, you know? Yeah, I think she's just desperately doing whatever she can.
And the surprise twist is her baby is the new Night King.
And it's interesting the way they set up Cersei, almost like they can't, like a lot of people kept talking about her losing, you know? Like, I think, you know, it's like Tyrion and Dany have like accepted that. They were just like, we know we're gonna win, it's just how do we win? We know we can. We know we can just flip a switch and it's over. We just literally melt King's Landing and that's it. But, you know, how do we go about it?
Yeah.
It's like when Tyrion said, what if Cersei wins and kills all of us? That'll solve all of our problems." Almost seemed like he's not even accepting that reality. It was like, no, there's no way. We're not gonna win this.
People keep asking us about the Starbucks cup.
Oh, it's gonna questions. We probably get the
yeah,
questions. We're already an hour in.
Yeah, let's do it. So let's start our
Thanks for
first.
coming.
Always is my
fun.
pleasure.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Our first question. So it says, "Hey, Dominic Jones and Amanda, this is a joke question because I don't watch the show that I hope gets answered. What do you think was in the Starbucks cup, Carl?"
I didn't see the Starbucks cup, but
You should see the picture. It's super funny. It's not. It isn't a Starbucks cup. It's just a coffee cup.
I would guess
It's in the scene where she's staring at John when everyone's celebrating John, like
Right.
Tormund wants him to drink.
Are we sure it's a coffee cup? and
Oh,
not,
yeah.
like-
Oh man! It is. It's so funny how that object
Why
is
didn't
so unmistakable.
Why
Like,
didn't they rotoscope that out?
why? No one saw it.
Some
And
people
I
think
didn't
it's
see it.
intentional. People think they know what's in there and they did it as a joke.
What?
There's
No.
theory that it was intentional.
No, it was not intentional. There's no way.
Like
Last
Starbucks paid
season?
an ungodly amount of money to have
That's
it.
such an important moment.
Eric.
Sowing distrust
I need to-
between the two
Like,
central characters of the
I want to
show.
go back and watch it in the actual
Oh,
episode
so funny.
because I don't trust the screen grabs. I
Oh,
wanna see,
no, it's man, it's I've
wanna
seen some
see
high risk
the-
screen grabs, but it's not what it is. It's you can go to the store and you can buy, like, you know, with the lid and
Right.
with the little sip, like.
Well,
you
it's a
can
catering-
buy those. It's the catering
cup.
company's like
Yeah,
base.
It's got to be coffee or
It's like a
tea.
brownish orangey something.
It's got to be coffee.
But
or
it's
tea.
so damn funny.
Could be some fresh juice.
It's so funny.
Depends on the time of day.
Because you're sitting in a chair. I
probably
mean, you
a-
can
a
speak to
hot
this better than
drink.
anybody in this room, obviously. But like, you're sitting in a chair. The eyebrow. Nice.
that-
She
well, that
ordered an
was-
herbal tea. But she's sitting in that chair, not knowing, like, I mean, she knows at the time, but like they keep setting up for, okay, now we're going to get this angle. Okay, now this angle is going to focus on, John. This angle is going to focus on Tormund. This angle is going to focus on the whole room. So like, it's not her job to decide when you can see this cup or you can't. Someone else is going to come in and be like, hey, Amelia, can you move the, oh, sorry,
Yeah, I
and then she
mean-
puts it underneath the table
Right,
for
you
that
put it
shot.
under the table.
But look at that, man. That thing.
I just want to. I'm just gonna go back and I'm gonna go back and look at it. And yeah, I want to see it on screen while it's
I guess it could. I mean, you guess you could have some kind of. There's just no other mugs like that. Like you never see that mug in any other part of this shot.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I guess it could. I guess they could dig that out of the prop department and actually show like, no, it's just you can have them.
It
You
could
can have
be
a
one of
ceramic mug
those,
that has a
like a
it
white
has a top.
lip and the.
What you can't see is the top of it, the very, very top. Is that a solid cover, or is there actually
a hole.
a hole there? Because if there's a hole, that could be a stein easily. But like, man, it does not look.
Yeah, it looks.
Because when you see Tyrion, like when he's drinking wine, those things do have kind of the ceramic kind of juts out at
Yeah.
the top. It's just none of them have that white top.
I think that if it is a coffee cup, that there were a few oopsie daisies on a lot of levels in this scene. One was that she should have gone like that,
Right.
you know.
I'm just devil's advocate here, but
And
it
then-
is hilarious, man.
And then there's a script supervisor that's watching the monitors that should have caught that. And,
HBO responded.
And did HBO respond?
The tweet was they said officially we're calling it was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
There you go.
Yeah, and so Scripty.
There's a picture with
Scripty
Sophie
missed
holding the
it,
same kind of
and,
cup.
Props department missed it, and the editors missed it. So it got missed so many times.
I mean, honestly, not.
Like-
And maybe I'm just biased because I am an editor, but like 100% editor's fault. Like that's. I could see
No,
that.
there was a cascade of
Yeah, but there's so much cell phones and like
There's so
people wearing
many-
coats and like there's so
Yeah.
much stuff that you could possibly miss. But like considering all the color correction and the sound design and all that, like nobody was like, oh wait a minute,
Oh, and they also
So
confirmed
many
it's
people had to miss
Starbucks
it.
too.
Oh, it is
a
Starbucks.
it is a Starbucks.
Yeah, the fact that they didn't cut it, that they didn't catch it and then rotoscope it out or put like a little plant or something, like a haunch of venison in
Yeah,
front of it.
heard-
but
They
yeah.
could have added
So
something
easily.
there.
The shot's not moving. It's so easy.
I think
to
it was
do.
intentional though, and the mistake was they remove it because I saw on the back, people believe it has the Winds of Winter release date on it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It's at the bottom. You got to finish the tea.
Yeah, it
and then
says, like-
you see it in the leaves.
Yeah, it says coming.
Uh,
the date.
Oh, really?
I saw a really great tweet where they were like, yeah, everybody's saying that the woke analysis is that no, this is a lore reveal. There is Starbucks in Westeros. We just haven't seen it yet. Big changes have happened
Yeah,
to King's
Hot Pie
Landing
did it.
since they left. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hot Pie invented Starbucks.
Well,
Hot pies.
or the mermaid on it is actually the evolution of the Kraken
Sure.
from the Greyjoy's fleet.
Yeah.
So, you know, could
Hot Pie's
be.
been making those breakfast sandwiches.
Yeah, hot pie. Oh, hot
There's a
pie.
drive-through now at in by the crossroads. You just go in.
We're playing Hodingo, which is it's like a death bingo for the
Okay.
characters that die this season, and Hot Pie's one of our characters on our Hodingo sheet. And
Hot Pie's not
I
done.
don't want Hot Pie to go.
Hot Pie will be in the very
Yeah,
end.
Hot
He'll be in one of the
Pie.
last scenes of episode
Hot
6.
Pie.
He's like, and that, my grandchildren, is
That's
that.
gonna be Sam, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. Yeah, you're right. It's gonna be Sam.
Yeah, when the Night King died, he got his revenge by making Starbucks. He's gonna conquer the world.
Yeah, yeah.
Starbucks,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's like,
Uh-huh. Everyone will just be
Kind
like,
The next dun dun dun, and then all the forests collapse and Starbucks come up across the map.
Yeah.
There's like even more coffee cups in the next episode all over the place.
Instead
Like,
of
Yeah,
ice
those are
tiles,
multiplying.
it's just like coffee cups.
it'll be
Open the
so rad.
wildfire door,
There's a
it's
shot
like-
of Tyrion
Yeah.
just kind of looking at the battle for like a long held shot, and
Yeah.
Dinklage is just like, oh, I would love that.
it's just completely normal.
Ugh.
I want to take on another
Makes me
question.
Good on HBO though for
Yeah.
just like, hey, let's get out in front of this.
Yeah.
So this
Just tell
question,
everybody.
preface it by saying, there have been people who are disappointed with how the final season's going. So this question, I think, is going to get inevitably asked by a lot of people. And greetings, Damiani, Jones, and Amanda. If there's one thing that movies and anime have taught me, is that there can be multiple adaptations. So if Gurm were to finally finish the remaining 2 books in the series, what hopes or expectations do you have for a potential future adaptation? I, for one, not only wish for Lady Stoneheart and Strong Belwas,
Yeah,
but
Strong
also the Griffs. Much love and respect,
Griffs, man.
Zephyr Moon.
Wow. The Griffs, yeah, that was a real interesting... To me, the Griffs, I appreciate it, but it was almost like when he started getting into that, I was like, where are you going, George? Get back to the story that you'd already laid out. But yeah, Lady Stoneheart, I want some Lady Stoneheart. I don't think I want any future adaptations. I just want those books.
Oh, but we
Thank you.
are gonna get future adaptations. They're gonna do this again.
I know, I'm okay.
Maybe as like a film
The
series
books
or
aren't a
something.
guaranteed
or-
thing. We don't know if we're getting them. You think we are.
Mine would be.
I'd like to start there, yeah.
And again, it's just fun to revisit characters. I feel the same way about Wolverine. Like, I love Jackman, but like, it's gonna be fun to get another Wolverine. Just some kind of new interpretation. Just like we got Ledger. It's like we thought the ultimate Joker happened, and then like here comes Heath Ledger. Like, what about this really interesting take on the character? I would love a truly impish Tyrion. I would love someone cast that's like, has like kind of a higher pitched voice and is a little more of a. That actually gets his nose chopped off, like to really go full board into all of the crazy things that happen to Tyrion in that journey.
Poor Tyrion.
Yeah,
Actually get someone who's blonde,
I knew they weren't, when I found out they weren't doing the Lady Stoneheart plot in the show, I was a little bummed out.
I was bummed.
Because I guess this is technically a book spoiler since it doesn't happen in the show. So I'll raise my hand. This is like a end of the book spoiler. We don't know how this has been resolved yet in the books, I believe. But
Yeah.
so spoilers.
Spoilers.
So yeah, when Jamie, Brienne, and
I know.
Podrick go to meet
Right.
that, she hangs them
Yeah.
all,
Right?
And we
Or
don't
starts to.
starts to hang them, and they're like,
If I had a nickel for every character that like started to die at the end of a chapter in Game of Thrones,
and
you're
I was like,
all
where's
right.
this? I was like, whoa, like they might get spared, and this is gonna be like Jamie's redemption arc starts here, and like, what is her part gonna be playing? Like,
Right.
that has to be completely different, unless she's Stoneheart just like mounts to nothing, and then I feel like it has to.
Unless she makes her own army of the undead. And it's
To fight the undead, yeah.
Catelyn's undead army versus the Night King's undead army.
I feel like there's a lot of like loose ends that we will never get resolved in the show involving like how undead stuff works.
Yeah.
'Cause even like Qyburn was
Sure.
like
Yeah.
does stuff with the mountain.
He
and it's
basically
like,
made a Frankenstein's monster.
yeah, so I feel like there's more to it, and I think the books will have to be the real answer for that someday.
Yeah.
But all right, there
Yeah,
we go. No
and
more
end
book
of
spoilers.
spoilers.
No more book spoilers. There you go.
Well, hopefully. Ugh, sorry, I'm so short. I have to do this.
But yeah, I would like the books to come out and be finished. Would be nice just to see how they're different.
I would
But
like the books
I have to
come
imagine
out.
when they are done, not Disney. Yeah, maybe Disney will own HBO by then. Never know. Could be possible. They'll own Warner Brothers and HBO and everyone.
Oh my God.
I have to imagine they will definitely take another crack at adapting Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's like they don't want to do the whole series again, they might be like starting from like season 4 onward. This is like the more true to the book adaptation. So think of the other one as like an alternate take, and it still exists, but this one, or they just do the whole show again. Who knows?
Yeah.
Recast it if it's too long after. Yeah.
I don't know if I could watch another show of it.
Just don't make
Animation.
like 3 movies.
Animation.
Don't do
Yeah.
movies because that
Oh,
won't
that's
won't
not
work.
enough time. The books are too big.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon Sanderson could step in and finish them if Gurm doesn't, just like he did with the Wheel of Time.
Maybe
You
will
fix?
give more than like
Call
some plot
Sanderson.
points.
Yeah. Need a little help? Get
Good
that
old
Sanderson.
Yes, Chad, a Game of Thrones anime. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Our next question, and our last question, comes from Michael. Hey, is it me or did Varys make his death wish this episode, declaring his motives to Tyrion, love and respect? We touched upon that scene, but
Yeah.
I want to remind everyone, Lady Melisandre told Varys last season, She goes, I gotta leave, but I'm coming back. He goes, why would you come back? I have to die here, Lord Varys, as do you. And he was kind of like taken aback, and it's like, well, everyone's like, well, that can happen anytime. I think that coupled with the scene of his like, I serve the realm, and like, I will do what I've always done, my friend. Like it was basically like Charles and Magneto scene in the first X-Men movie.
And I will give you hope, friend.
He's like, please, like, there's still time, like, come back. And he goes, and I will always be there, to stop you, old friend. And I was like, oh, this is literally it. They both want, like, the realm to live and be in peace, but it seems like they're going to diverge. And I think, yes, something's going to be. I keep seeing people predict it. I don't know if it's going to happen. I have nothing based on previews or anything like this. People think that like Daenerys is going to find out and will like straight up just kill Varys for that, like feed him to a dragon or something. Like more of her spiral into the Mad Queen arc that they seem hell bent on doing now, which would be unfortunate. But yeah, what do you think? Yeah, do you agree with that? Do you have your own theories about what do you think that's going to lead to anything?
It has to.
Yeah.
There's only so much time. Why would they have this exchange between the two of them if it wasn't?
Do you think he lives? Maybe
them saying goodbye to each other.
I don't know. I think maybe he lives to be an old person.
I think he's got to be a part of like Daenerys being like, and my story is done, because he was there like right at the beginning, like right when she was sold, basically, like right as she made that transition, like he was in the shadows there. So there's going to be some kind of investment. I could maybe even see it going the way of. He waits, because it's just kind of very style, like he waits until the Battle of King's Landing's over and then strikes. Basically, like, comes in to stop her at her moment of victory of like, okay, thank you for taking care of Cersei, now I need to take this over and give it to Jon, or I'm going to go and help Jon. Or maybe just he has this meeting with Jon and then just kind of sows more of that distrust between Jon and Daenerys.
I have a theory.
I want to hear it.
So remember how his little birds killed Kevin Lannister? Do you remember this?
Did that happen in the show? I know that happened in the book.
Happens in the show.
That was like the whole like.
That's how book 5 ends.
6 end, right?
Yeah.
Like it culminated with like Cersei blowing up the Sept.
And Kevin Lannister's just like he just gets stabbed.
Oh, they don't kill
by
Kevin
others.
Lannister. They kill the Maester. I think that was kind of like the reference to the books.
I thought Kevin was in this. It was oh my gosh, old Maester guy who's like Pycelle, yeah. The kids, like Qyburn invites him down.
Oh, okay. So,
Which kind of was a reference to that scene at the end of book 5, but it was the Maester, different character.
But regardless,
Kevin was in the Sept.
The little birds did some stabbies.
Right.
And now Qyburn controls the little birds, as far as I know.
Yes.
So what we could see is that Varys goes back to his little birds, and they betray him.
Oh.
Because he left them. He was basically the only one caring for them, and yes, he taught them to be, killers, I guess. Or was that Qyburn that taught them to be killers? I wonder.
No, I
because
think
Varys was out of there.
I don't know if Varys taught them to kill. I think they were just supposed to spy new information.
Yeah. So, yeah, I could see that happen.
The front lines in the war is just an army of kids.
I could see him.
They all just run out and stabs the Unsullied with little knives.
I could see him.
I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just saying.
I could see him going to, trying to work his way back into King's Landing somehow, to have some greater influence and having it backfire on him in that way.
Do you think maybe like it's him trying to meet with like Qyburn or something, or meet with someone there at King's Landing? It could even be like in the not the crypt, but like where the dragons are kept now.
Yep.
Like a throwback to season 1.
Right.
We see that in the intro too. So like, I wonder if we'll get some kind of tour. It'd be nice to spend some more time in King's Landing. It like, and I think that's one of the things that bums me out just in general about where we are is like, you go to the north, and granted these are the good guys, and there's so many characters, there's so much relationships, there's so much payoff, and then you go to King's Landing and it's like Skeletor. It's like just her. It's like her and the mountain and boat guy, I can't remember his name, Euron, and Qyburn. Like that's it. That's literally like the bad guys, and then all of these nameless troops, all of these. It was weird seeing all of these like CG people like walk out in front of Cersei when they're like coming back into King's Landing from a distance.
Why don't they also just hire the Bravasi fleet? Like, why don't they just pay the Bravasi fleet more money than what the Queen has offered?
I don't know if they have the money right now. The thing is, I think that
Just throwing.
Oh, and the commander of the Golden
Remember
Company.
sequence,
There's
though,
5.
where,
Strickland.
Yeah.
Cersei, when she conquered Highgarden in her ploy and paid back that debt in one payment,
Oh,
like
right.
how impressed the Iron Bank of Bravos was. Like, whoa, okay, we'll keep doing. Like, some of us are sad that like you paid off your debt because we like that interest. And she's like, well, do you want to make a new contract? Because I got a lot of stuff. I got a lot of enemies I got to kill.
Yeah.
Like I think they would go to her first because they're like, she will pay it off. She has demonstrated she like can win. Whereas Dragon Queen, she's down to 1 dragon, and where's all her money and stuff?
Yeah.
You know, does she have any money? That's what I'm kind of scared of. I'm kind of scared
But
she
yeah,
has.
I still do feel like the Golden Company might turn on Cersei, because they're swords for hire.
Someone from a player we're not thinking of could also pay them. Like Ilario's really rich. He might be still sympathetic to Daenerys and stuff, and Varys.
Oh, yeah.
And like there could be other factions at play
Callback.
over in Essos and like over like Penthos or Bravos or something.
Yeah.
Who are like Cersei needs to go.
And let's not forget about the Great Horn that will take down walls.
Oh
Oh,
gosh.
stop it. What?
Yeah, we're
done
done with the show.
That's the horn that signals the end of the stream.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
That burns your mouth if you're not you're not a Targaryen to blow it or
I
whatever.
don't know.
I
Is that
thought that's one of its
rules?
properties is that like you can't blow it or else it'll like burn you or something.
Really?
All right.
And that's why
So
people in the
funny.
books think that's going to bring down the wall
Yeah.
instead of like
Haru.
an undead dragon.
Yeah.
Haru. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you for the questions, everybody.
Yeah.
And thank you for keeping the conversation going back and forth in chat.
The horn is in the books.
And thank you,
Yeah,
Amanda, for
it's the book.
The horn
horn.
from Helm's
for
Deep.
joining. That was fun.
Yes.
Any hot takes before you, just in the show in general, before we might not have you on the next episode?
Just
Read those books.
read the books.
I read the books.
Lady Mormont, always in our hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a little, say goodbye to her again in this episode. That was nice.
Bring back Nymeria.
Yeah, I wonder if
Um,
she'll come back and do something. She'll run into King's Landing with
Also-
her with her
also-
wolf army and
maybe the right person will just say like, yeah, I don't need 7 kingdoms. How about we have like 4 and 3 and
sure.
work together.
Yeah. Let the North have the North.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that's
Yeah.
just the way it's going.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Breaking the wheel.
Yeah, breaking the wheel. That's sort of a letdown. Let me think of a better one. Dracarys!
Oh,
Oh,
God.
jeez. I just picture Drogon being like, "Roar!"
Yeah.
we're not. Oh, it's symbolic. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
yeah,
I
I
hear
was
the
like- I was like,
Pavlov.
wait.
I hear the word,
Like,
and I breathe fire.
he's
That's
like-
what I do.
he's
I
like,
thought.
what?
Yeah. Now,
I'm way over here. I can't
Daenerys.
hear you.
Now. Are we not? Okay.
Dracarys now?
Maybe it's still too dark. You can't see the effect.
Yeah. What these plants in front of me, or
Or like
pick a target.
Yeah,
So terrible. Such a traumatic moment for her.
it's terrible.
Yeah, I was like, what? Was that all a distraction so the dragons sneak around? Now the dragons got stealth powers.
Yeah.
It snuck into the sky. It's going to dive down and burn them all. I was like, yeah, no.
No.
Nothing like
No.
that. Oh, well.
Ugh.
Well, that's going to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the questions, everybody. I know a lot of people sent questions. We answered a lot of them through the natural course of discussion.
Right.
So it is harder picking questions for this than anything else I asked for questions for. But, keep submitting them because, there might be one that we don't talk about at some point. We'll get to it. Next week, we'll either be doing this on Thursday or Friday. Because of scheduling stuff, people will be gone and won't be possible. But we're still on track for the final episode.
Yeah,
to
that
do that
night.
that Sunday night after it airs.
Oh,
we
yeah.
will be
What's
doing
that date?
the May 19th.
May 19th.
That.
May 19th.
Okay.
We will do that. We will be here at some point after the final episode, like more raw impressions about
Yeah.
how everything went
we'll be
down. Oof, yeah, we'll be pretty raw. So, yeah, until next time, we'll see you all later.